Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this November 21st, 2023 Ascension Parish Council meeting. Call to order. I'm going to ask Mr. Cagnalotti. Will you please lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, please hear our prayer for the men, women, and children of Ascension Parish, for the parish president, the administration, and for this council. We ask that you bless us and guide us in all of our actions, and may your Holy Spirit be with us at all times. For we place our lives in your hands, always and forever. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Cagnalotti. Item number 2, roll call. Ms. Secretary, please note that Mr. Robert, Mr. Thomas, and Mr. Ogeron are absent. Everyone else is present. Chair's additions, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving in 2 days. I hope everyone enjoys the food and family. It's my favorite meal of the year. Love sitting there, 12 hours of football and nothing but food. So I hope everyone enjoys their time. I would like to remind everyone that we will only have one remaining council meeting for 2023, and that is scheduled for December 14th at 6 p.m. right here at the Gonzales Council Chambers. And lastly, on Chair's Edition, I'm gonna take just take a quick moment. So we only have one more meeting left, and just with the holidays and everything, I wanted to take this meeting, being we have a majority of us here. As we know, I believe 7 of y'all, right, will not be returning, and I want to take just a minute and acknowledge how unappreciative of a job we have, right? How much time and effort we put in, and the thanks and how appreciative I've been for y'all serving Ascension Parish. I think the last 4 years, look, even whenever we haven't all seen eye to eye, we have done some very impressive things together. I know I won't forget it. And so I just want to take this moment from me and thank each and every one of y'all. And so I'm going to ask everyone if y'all can give this council just a round of applause. So, all right. Moving along. Agenda item number 4, the public comment sign-in period. If anyone would like to speak on any agenda item, please come see Ms. Cinnamon over here. She has the red and green cards. Just put that agenda item, and everyone will have 3 minutes to speak on any agenda item that you wish to address. All right. Item number 5. We have a presentation, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chair. So we're going to do a proclamation to recognize Mr. Walter Leftwich and his contributions he made in advancing the fire protection in Ascension Parish, Louisiana. So we're going to do this proclamation. Whereas in 1970, after the devastating fire occurred in Prairieville community, concern about improving fire protection grew among citizens. Walter Leftwich was quick to get involved and was instrumental in creating what was to become Prairieville Volunteer Fire Department. And Walter Leftwich became a charter member of the Prairieville Volunteer Fire Department, helping it grow into a robust organization it has become, which serves the community so well. Having served multiple terms as president of the fire department, and after actively volunteering for many years, retired as a lifetime member of the Prairieville Volunteer Fire Department. And a movement began to create a new fire district with full-time firefighters. Walter once again led the charge, working tirelessly with parish officials to create Fire District Number 3 and establish a funding mechanism to support it. Was then appointed to the original Fire Board of Commissioners for Fire District 3 and elected chairman at its first meeting, a position he continued to serve until his death in March 15th, 2022, having been named Chairman Emeritus of Ascension Parish Fire Department District 3 Board in honor of the contributions Walter Leftwich made on the lives of his colleagues in the fire service and the citizens of Prairieville. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed, I, Clint Quintmall, President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority invested in me, do hereunto proclaim the dedication and naming of the Fire District Number 3 Training Tower from this day forward as the Walter Leftwich Training Tower.
Do we have anyone from the Leftwich family here? We would love for y'all to come up and take a picture, please. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get back here.
Come help your side since it's kind of barren. Just trying not to knock over the seat.
You good? Ms. Casso.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I want to, on behalf of the Leftwich family, of which I'm distantly related, I want to thank the parish president, the parish of Ascension, for this tribute to Mr. Walter. I particularly want to mention that his co-members of his fire district are here and present, the chiefs, Mark Stewart, and several of their board members I see back there, out there, Deputy Chief Patrick Carpenter. Mr. Walter loved you. He loved you like you were his kids. And we thank you for being a huge part of making this night possible for his family. And I'll tell you, he would have been tickled to death with this, because he did enjoy parish government and all of the work involved in it very much. He invited me to be on that first Fire District Board of Commissioners, and I learned so much from him and about having, being able to approach the work in your community with passion. And so I thank him and his family for sharing him with all of us and with the fire service. And thank you all for doing this tonight for Mr. Walter.
Thank you, Ms. Casso. Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, I'd like to thank, I was part of the coffee group. Every morning we had coffee, and let me tell you what, I'm gonna cherish all those stories, and he was a super guy. Besides every good man is a good woman. As Miss Bobby, I wanna, she held that family together and held everyone to what was right. So I want to extend my gratitude and all the good stories we had. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. I love that. If you're not part of a coffee group, or you even from Ascension, you got to have a coffee group somewhere. Love it. All right, moving along to item number 6, the parish president's report. Mr. Quintmall.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Council. So we can all see we have a very extensive agenda here. So I just wanted to keep my comments very brief, very short, and just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, to the council, to everyone present, as well as all of our Ascension Parish residents. So happy Thanksgiving.
All righty, thank you. The consent agenda, item number 7. Ms. McKee.
Adoption of regular council meeting minutes of October 19th, 2023. Approval of participation in the ITEP under the Post-Executive Order 2018 Rules Project Blue Topaz, CF Industries Nitrogen LLC. Approval of participation in the ITEP under the Post-Executive Order 2018 Rules Project MAC, CF Industries Nitrogen LLC. Approval of the renewal of the cooperative endeavor agreement between the Parish and Ascension Economic Development Corporation to promote and develop industry, commerce, and economic development in the parish for a total amount of $322,800. Approval of the renewal of the intergovernmental agreement between the Parish of Ascension, the City of Gonzales, and Fire District Number 1 for fire protection outside the city limits, and approval for Parish President Clint Quintmall to sign all related documents. Total contract amount not to exceed $120,000. Approval of the renewal and of the cooperative endeavor agreement between Ascension Parish Government, Fire District Number 3, and Prairieville Fire Department for the compensation of part-time firefighters for the 2024 calendar year. Total contract amount not to exceed $490,000. Approval of Amendment Number 3 to Cooperative Endeavor Agreement with Nicholls State University to replace Exhibit B billable rate schedule in its entirety, which will include the billable rate for the Executive Director of Early Childhood Initiatives. This amendment does not affect the contract price. Approval of Amendment Number 2 to the contract between Ascension Parish Government and Joey Thibodeau's Drain Cleaning and Plumbing for labor and materials as needed to repair leaks, install taps, and other work necessary to maintain the distribution system for parish utilities of Ascension for an additional amount of $60,000 for a total not to exceed amount of $189,000. Approval of the renewal of the contract between the parish and Joey Thibodeau's Drain Cleaning and Plumbing for all labor materials as needed for repairs to leaks, install taps, and other work necessary to maintain the distribution system for parish utilities of Ascension. Total contract amount not to exceed $75,000. Approval of Amendment Number 3 to the master contract for professional services with Multi-Studio LLC of Louisiana to extend the contract term for an additional year through December 31st, 24. This amendment does not affect the contract price. Approval to submit an application for the 23-24 Local Government Assistance Program. Approval to submit an application for the 23-24 Community Water Enrichment Fund. Approval of the renewal of the professional services contract between the parish and Intellecom Consulting LLC for programming and maintenance of communications equipment. Total contract amount not to exceed $77,500. Results of requests for quotes and approval to enter into a contract agreement with JKF Trucking, $115 per hour. Seek Ye First Trucking, $110 per hour. Tri-Axle, $125 per hour. Quad Axle, and Cody Edwards Trucking LLC, $115 per hour for dump trucks with drivers on an as-needed basis to assist with hauling hot asphalt to various locations within Ascension Parish. Bid results and approval to enter into contract for Ascension Parish 5% Initiative Generator Project for the installation of 2 parish-owned generators at the ground storage facility and Parish Utilities Water Plant in Donaldsonville, with the lowest responsive bid submitted by Ready Power LLC in the amount of $153,298. Approval of agreement between Ascension Parish Government and Impact Sports Gonzales for payment of spring and fall baseball officials for an amount not to exceed $80,000. Approval of agreement with DOTD for state project number H014918 for the LA 73 roundabout at Bluff Road Connector, and for the approval of Parish President Clint Quintmall to sign all documents related to this project. Approval of resolution indicating the intention of the parish to approve the 2-year appointment of Dawn Caballero as a director to the Board of Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority. Approval of the renewal of contract between Ascension Parish Government and Lofton Industrial Services LLC for temporary staffing services. Total contract amount not to exceed $69,000. Approval of the renewal of the joint intergovernmental agreement and cooperative endeavor agreement with District Attorney Ricky Babin to implement an adult drug intervention program for adult offenders for the 24 calendar year at a not to exceed amount of $89,900. Approval of the legal services contract between Ascension Parish Government and Jennifer E. Frederickson of the law firm Stemmons and Alley to represent the parish regarding insurance litigation, including workman's comp and any other legal matters necessary. Contract amount not to exceed $45,000.
Would anyone like to remove anything from the consent agenda for further discussion? No. I have a motion from Mr. Lambert to approve the consent agenda. Second from Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? Hearing none. So moved.
Can I ask a question? we go forward though?
Yeah.
I saw we had Mr. Helms here. I'm just trying to get an update since we haven't had a transportation meeting on the, I don't know where, yeah, I thought he was over there, on the roundabout at Parker Road and 929, 'cause I get asked about that all the time. Oh, there he is. I don't want him to leave.
Yes, sir.
So, where do we stand? We were told like, hey, it'll be open before Thanksgiving, maybe in October.
Opens tomorrow.
It
Tomorrow.
opens tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Cutting it close, but it's open. Good.
Yeah, we are
Okay.
gonna open, I gotta go out in the morning to approve the striping layout. It's supposed to stripe it tomorrow, and then it'll be open by tomorrow rush hour.
That'll be great news for everybody that asked every day.
Yes,
Good deal. Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, moving on to general business. Item 8A, resolution to remove all members of the West Ascension Hospital District, West Ascension Hospital District Board. I do have some public speakers here before we get in there. First up is Pastor Cleveland Washington, is present and would like to speak.
Good afternoon. We stand once again tonight as Pastors United for a better health care and the better for the citizens of Donaldsonville and the surrounding areas. Hosea 4:5 says this, "My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge." Over the last few meetings, our eyes have been opened and has given us knowledge to the lack of management, as well as the lack of health care services rendered to the citizens of Donaldsonville and the surrounding areas. You didn't know, but now you know. The question before us tonight is, what are we going to do about it? James chapter 4, verse 17 says this, "Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is a sin." Let us stand together for better health care and the new vision for the health care for the citizens of Donaldsonville and the surrounding areas.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker, let's see, Miss Cherie Mitchell-Levy.
Good evening. First, I want to say thank you to all of you all for being here today. That indicates your commitment to our issues in Donaldsonville, and we really appreciate it. Today, I stand before you just asking that you put the people of Donaldsonville first. We need leaders on the board who will ensure that all of our residents have a hospital that they can be proud of. We are humans, we are real people with family and loved ones who need access to a hospital that has adequate and qualified physicians, is free of cancer-causing agents, one that is well connected to the community to promote general health, one that can produce a clean financial audit, and one that can provide research and training that will benefit our residents, young and old, and, of course, a pipeline from the educational system to the hospital. Many of our residents travel about 40 minutes to an hour just to receive adequate health care, and I don't think that this is fair. We have also had residents who have died trying to travel across the river to a hospital that they had a little bit more faith in. And what that indicates to me is that if I'm going to travel across the river, that means the one that's close to me is not adequate for me. And so if it's a life and death situation, what happens to the residents of Donaldsonville? All we're asking is that we have the same facilities and equipment and services that everyone else has. Whatever's good for the East Bank should be good for the West Bank. Today, I looked at the audit and all 17 of the issues here, and I know you all have gone through it, so I don't have to go through it. But, you know, I looked at the audit and I looked at the Louisiana statutes, and I compared them, and I seen a lot of things that just was not right. And I know that you all will make ethical decisions for the people of Donaldsonville and stand on that. One in particular stood out to me, though. It states, the West Ascension Hospital Service District has $3,701,792 in cash and investments, but only has $5,027,213 in property and equipment for healthcare purposes. This indicates that the district is 5 times more like an investment company than a healthcare provider company, as required by the founding objects or purposes stated in the Louisiana legislative statute. And so, with that being said, are we a hospital or are we an investment company? And we want a hospital. So I ask
Thank you, Ms. Sherry. Your time is up, man. Your 3 minutes.
rectify the situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Mr. Glenn Price, would like to speak.
Good evening, Council. I just want to first thank this council. When we first communicated with you all about our issues on the West Bank as it relates to health care at Prevost Hospital, you all listened to us. Remember, we made that attempt at Prevost Hospital. We had several meetings with them. We talked to them over and over again about listening to the residents, about what we needed, and then therefore we told them what we wanted. But they didn't listen to us. But when we contacted you all, y'all gave us an opportunity to explain what we were talking about, and now we are 6 months later. I want to ask you tonight to support Resolution 8A, because that resolution would take us forward. It will move us in the direction that we need to go in so that we can bring comprehensive, progressive health care on the West Bank of Ascension, located in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. I want to say this, and we all have experienced this. In the physical realm, when one leaves us, they leave us in the physical realm. But I personally believe that that person still lives with us in the spiritual realm. So spiritually, those that leave us physically are still here with us. Kurt Mitchell, as you all got to know a little, was one of the ones that worked with us diligently to get to this point. Well, because of health care issues, unfortunately, he succumbed to his struggles with cancer. I believe spiritually he's at this meeting tonight and he's listening to us. And I want to let you know, Kurt, we're moving forward. But I want to thank these people on this council for putting us in that position. Thank you sincerely.
All right, our last speaker for item 8A is Mr. R. Gray Sexton. This president would like to speak.
I'm Gray Sexton. My partner and I, Blair Knockan, are here on behalf of the West Ascension Hospital Service District. This matter is of grave importance to everyone in this room, and I would appeal to you to extend the 3 minutes that I have been given to defend the interest of my client, the district, as well as its 5 members. I will not tarry unnecessarily, nor will I burden you with any unnecessary information.
3 minutes, Mr. You have your 3 minutes. That's it.
Yesterday, we filed a suit against each one of you, as well as this council, in district court to enjoin you from violating the law. The resolution that you're being invited to vote on today will render each one of you in violation of settled law and will expose each one of you to punitive damages under Article 1983 of the Federal Code of Evidence. There may be a way for you to remove the 5 members of the council. There may be a legal way for you to replace them with 5 other members, but not tonight by raising your hand. That's not the way that due process works. It is settled law in Louisiana that in order for you to remove members of the Board of Commissioners, there must be a noticed hearing. There must be evidence produced by you in support of the resolution. There must be an opportunity by my client's lawyers to confront the testimony, to confront the witnesses, to cross-examine witnesses that might be called by you in support of the argument that you have just cause to remove these 5 individual members of the Hospital Service District Board. So far tonight, certainly, no evidence has been introduced, no testimony has been provided, and not one scintilla of support has been provided for the proposition that you have a right to remove these members simply by raising your hand. Now, the district court has scheduled a hearing on this matter for the 30th. I would appeal to you to recognize that sometime after that hearing would be the best opportunity for you to proceed with a noticed, fair, and equitable due process hearing, giving each member of the parish, giving each member of the hospital service district a fair opportunity to defend themselves, to be heard, to listen to whatever evidence you have that suggests that they have been guilty of some misconduct, that there has been a remission of their responsibilities, or that they failed to justify their duties and responsibilities. The courts have made it clear that, and I quote from a most recent decision, a parish council may not simply replace the existing board of commissioners with new members who will then respond to the wishes of that police jury. Further,
Your time is up, Mr. Sexton. Your 3 minutes.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, your 3 minutes are up.
May I have another minute?
No, thank you.
I would invite you to consider waiting until the court has passed on this issue. Do the fair thing, send out a notice, schedule a hearing, put on the evidence, and see what happens.
All right, that is all the public speakers we have for item 8A. At this time, the chair would entertain questions, comments, or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we move to approve the resolution and also to instruct the task force that you charged with responsibility to look at the medical situation in Donaldsonville to report to the new board of directors.
Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Casso and a motion by Ms. Casso to approve the resolution and that our advisory board report to the new board. I have a second by Mr. Turner. Any questions or any objections?
I do have a question.
Yep.
Is anybody here from, I'm sorry.
No, there you go.
Is anybody here from the board, from the previous, other than their legal representation? Did anybody from the board show up? No. Yeah, I was just curious. Okay. It's very much like a, if you know your Roman mythology, Janus, the god of Janus, this is opening one door, closing another for the hospital. So maybe this is an opportunity for the hospital to close one door, open another one, move forward, and do some great new things. Y'all know I'm obsessed with doors in hospitals, so it's pretty fitting.
Yes, Ms. Casso.
Yes, I'm more than happy if it's the will of the legal counsel to sit here and read this resolution and impose upon these gentlemen this document that they've had access to since last week. But, I have nothing but respect and for the gentlemen who have served on that board. I think that they served well for a number of years, and I think their audit indicates that they have been given poor advice. They have not been led to do things in a way that would protect the hospital. And so I don't want to cause those gentlemen any more embarrassment than I think this already causes. But I can, if the chair thinks it would be helpful, and if our legal counsel thinks it's necessary. I mean, we can have a lot of testimony here tonight about what's gone wrong at Prevo. But
What say you, Mr. DePatie? Is it necessary for us to read the resolution in the 17 just cause?
No, I don't think so. I think it is. I think we have decided that we're going to mail or email each individual commissioner tomorrow with a copy of that resolution, so they know which reasons for cause are.
All right, with that being said, I have a motion by Ms. Casso, a second by Mr. Turner. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. All right.
Mr. Chairman, might you want to introduce some of the
Oh,
folks
I'm sorry.
the new
Yeah,
board
so
members who are going to be serving Donaldsonville?
I believe they're all here, but our new interim board for the West Ascension Hospital District are going to be Mr. Glenn Price, Mr. Falcon Meir, Ms. Cherie Levy, Ms. Tanya Mitchell, and Mr. William Dawson. So, all righty. We are moving along to item 8B, approve the 2023 audit engagement letter. Ms. Dawn. Oh, we got Mr. White's back here.
Sir.
How are you, Jacob?
Good evening, Chairman, Council. Tonight you have in front of you the audit engagement and the agreed upon procedures engagement for the 2023 audit. They go hand in hand with each other. We do those procedures simultaneously. So we're here to ask for approval of the updated engagement letter.
I have a motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? Hearing none? So moved.
All right, thank you.
I will ask everyone in the audience, if y'all would please keep it down, please. We do have a lengthy agenda. Item 8C, approval of selection committee recommendation and to enter into a contract for professional services to provide assistance and support for grant and project management disaster recovery services. And, all right, we have a motion by Ms. Casso, a second by Mr. Lambert. Any objection? Hearing none? So moved. Item 8D, approval of selection committee recommendation and to enter into contract for emergency debris monitoring for natural disasters. I have a motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Ms. Casso. Any objection? Hearing none? So moved. 8D, approval of selection committee recommendations and to enter into contract for emergency debris monitoring for, oh, that's the one I just read, I apologize. And to enter into contract for emergency debris removal with DRC. Have a motion by Mr. Lambert, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? Any questions for Ms. Rachel? All right. So moved. Thank you. Item 8F, approval of professional selection committee recommendations and to enter a contract for mechanical maintenance supports services with Delcom. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Casso, a second by Mr. Lambert. Any objection? Any questions for Mr. Jim? Hearing none, so moved. Item 8G, approval of amendment to CEA with T&T Building Consultants for the Lamar Dixon Expo Center parking lot project to agree upon date of payment. I have a motion by Mr. Mason, second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. 8H, renewal of contract with Total Energy Solutions in amount of $174,950 for the generator maintenance for all generators owned by Ascension Parish government.
Motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Lawler, a second by Mr. Mason. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. 8I, approval of amendment to the contract with CMC Corporate Mechanical for maintenance of air conditioning units at Lamar Dixon Expo Center to add an additional amount of $20,000 on the current contract and to extend the expiration date to December 31st, 2024 with an additional amount of $90,000. Have a motion by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Item 8J, approval of amendment to contract with Quality Engineering and Surveying for the Butch Gore Port renovations for additional design services in the amount of $4,000.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Mr. Lawler. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. Item 9, introduction of ordinances. 9A, introduction of ordinance to adopt Ascension Consolidated Utility District Number 1 and Parish of Ascension Water Company rules and regulations.
Motion.
I have a motion introduced by Mr. Lawler. 9B, Introduction of ordinance to purchase parcel number 8780500 located at 11191 Beco Road with an appraised value of $135,000. Motion introduced by Mr. Lambert. 9C, introduction of ordinance to amend an ordinance adopted on November 2nd, 2023 to comply with LARS 18-532.1, authorizing the Ascension Parish government to reestablish certain precinct boundaries in order to comply with applicable law regarding the results of the 2023 precinct surveys and assigned polling locations. Motion introduced by Mr. Mason. Public hearing ordinances. 10A, reading of an ordinance to amend an ordinance adopting a pay classification plan to adjust pay rates for the 2024 cost of living adjustment effective January 2024. Mr. Dupatti.
Purpose, to amend an ordinance adopted on October 19, 2023, amending Section 16.1 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on June 20, 1996, adopting a pay classification plan to adjust pay ranges to allow for a three-tiered approach based on labor grade for 2024 cost of living adjustments effective December 25, 2023. Whereas Parish of Ascension through the Ascension Parish Council under lawful session passed an ordinance adopting an official pay classification plan. And whereas the original ordinance established a uniform system for reimbursing, promoting, and classifying Ascension Parish personnel, and whereas the plan was last amended on October 19, 2023, and is in need of further revision, and whereas the Human Resources Director has prepared a revision to the pay classification plan, and whereas the parish president has accepted the revised plan and proposed a revision to the Parish Council for review. Now therefore be ordained by the Ascension Parish Council does hereby authorize amendment of the pay classification plan attached to Exhibit A proposed by the Human Resources Department and submitted by the Parish President for a three-tiered approach based on labor grade for the 2024 COLA, 3%, 4%, and 5%, effective December 25th, 2023. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. This ordinance has submitted to vote thereon as follows.
I have a motion to open public hearing by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Lawler.
Second.
Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Lawler. Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Mason. A second by Mr. Lambert. All right, any questions for Ms. Lucy? Any objection? Hearing none, so moved.
Thank you.
Item 10D, reading of an ordinance to accept a donation of property owned by Palo Alto Incorporated and the McCall Company LLC for the use of fire services by Fire District Number 2. Mr. Kenneth.
A cooperative endeavor agreement and act of donation of certain property owned by Palo Alto Incorporated and the McCall Company LLC for the use of fire services by Fire District Number 2, whereas the Parish of Ascension agrees and acknowledges that the property is sufficient for the purpose of the operation of fire services for the West Bank of Ascension Parish, and whereas the McCall Company LLC Palo Alto Incorporated agrees and acknowledges that the providing of fire protection of the West Bank of Ascension Parish and ability of the parish to provide services to these citizens is valuable to all parties. Therefore, be it ordained that Ascension Parish governing authority authorizes and accepts the donation of a .370 acre parcel of property owned by the McCall Company LLC and the Palo Alto Incorporated to the Ascension Parish government more fully described Exhibit A attached here to and made a part hereof. This ordinance is being adopted in conformity with Section 601 of the Ascension Parish Charter. Clinton County Parish President is hereby authorized to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the parish. This ordinance having been submitted to vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Cagnolati, a second by Mr. Lawler.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Mr. Lawler, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Cagnolati. Any questions, any objections? Hearing none, so moved. 10G, reading of an ordinance to amend Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential to mixed-use 2. Zoning review ID PZ-3267.23, Lot 2A, A2A of the Joseph N. DeLong Estates for Crawfish Properties, LLC. Mr. Kenneth.
Purpose, this ordinance amends the official zoning designation for Lot 2A of the Joseph N. DeLong Estates attached to legal description for medium-intensity residential to mixed-use 2. This rezone is identified as zoning review ID PZ-3267.23. Whereas Ascension Parish, the local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution of 1974. And whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulations within this jurisdiction. And whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish, adopted May 4, 1993, identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. And whereas the official zoning map for Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 8, 2016, and whereas the Parish Council reserves the authority to make changes to official zoning map by ordinance, and whereas this request has been process and compliance with procedures set forth. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the official zoning map of the Ascension Parish, Louisiana is amended to reflect the property identified as Exhibit A as Mixed Use 2 as the official zoning designation. Severability in the event that any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portion of this ordinance. The effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. Exhibit A, legal description. B, plat map. C, aerial zoning map. Adoption. This ordinance having been submitted to vote, the vote therein was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Lawler.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Lawler, a second by Mr. Mason.
Motion to move the ordinance.
Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Lawler, a second by Mr. Mason. Any questions, any objections? Hearing none, so moved. 10J, reading of an ordinance to amend Ascension Parish Unified Land Developmental Code Appendix 12 regarding building fees. Mr. Kenneth.
Purpose, to amend Ascension Parish Unified Land Development Code Appendix 12 fees. Whereas Ascension Parish is a local government subdivision as defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution, 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulation within the jurisdiction. And whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish, and now therefore be ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the Unified Land Development Code of Ascension Parish, Louisiana, Appendix 12 fees is amended as follows, as more fully described in Exhibit A attached here to and made a part hereof. Severability in the event that any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portion of the ordinance. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereof was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Mason, a second by Ms. Casso. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Mason. Second by Ms. Casso. Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Mason. Second by Ms. Casso. Any questions, any objections?
Objection.
Objection? Okay, we have one objection. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, just briefly.
Go ahead.
You know, I think part of this ordinance is necessary, but I don't think the entirety of it's necessary to raise fees on homeowners and new businesses. We've heard a lot of talk about that. Yeah, I just don't think we need to be raising fees on homeowners right now and new businesses coming into the parish.
Okay. Yep, if everyone would please vote. The yeas have it, 7-2.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I believe it requires 8 because it's fees. I believe it requires 8 because it's fees.
Oh, okay. All right, well, the ordinance does not pass. Okay. All right, moving along, item 10N, public hearing to consider ordinance to amend the 2023 budget and appropriate the 2024 budget for Ascension Parish government. Mr. Kenneth.
Whereas a revision of a certain budgets for the 2023 budget year for certain funds has been prepared and submitted to the council in Exhibit A. Whereas a proposed operating budget for the year 2024 includes revenues of $161,576,200 plus a required fund balance of $25,605,500 for a total equal to $187,181,700 and expenditures of $150,870,700. The capital budget includes revenues of $54,234,000 plus required fund balance of $54,427,000 for a total equal to $108,661,000, expenditures of $144,972,000. Therefore, total operating capital budget revenues plus required fund balance equals $295,842,700, and expenditures equal $295,842,700. Interfund transfers are $177,642,000. Whereas Ascension Parish Council has reviewed and considered such proposed budget and made revisions of same, and whereas said proposed budget was duly set after proper notice to the public for public hearing, which was held on November 16, 2023, as required by the revised statutes of the State of Louisiana and Ascension Parish Home Rule Charter, therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council of the State of Louisiana, Section 1, 2023 amended budget, that the amended budgets as prepared for 2023 are approved and appropriated by Ascension Parish Council with the stipulation that A, transfer from the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 fund to the General Fund and Road and Bridge Fund and Criminal Court Fund in the amount necessary to maintain the balance fund, but will not exceed the amount authorized in the budget. The Recreation Fund is allocated 10% of the net 1% Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 revenues and an additional source of funding. Funding is also provided by an allocation to the Sales and Use Tax Number 1 Bond Sinking Fund and FIN's Family Needs Services. To the extent that the resulting revenues of the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 fund exceeds expenditures and transfers, and after an adequate fund balance equal to 6 months of expenditures is maintained, then such excess will be transferred 25% to the Mega Infrastructure Projects Fund, 25% to the Recreation Fund, and 25% to the General Fund, and 25% to the Move Ascension Fund. The 1/3 net of the Sales and Use Tax District Number 2 revenues collected for the fire protection shall be shared by Ascension Parish Fire District Number 1 at 65%, by Ascension Parish Fire District Number 2, and 13% by Ascension Parish Fire District Number 3 at 22%. All unexpended appropriations will lapse at December 31st, 2023. Section 2, 2024 budget. That the budget proposed for year 2024 is approved, adopted, and appropriated with the following provisions. A, expenditures not contemplated in the operation of the government of Ascension Parish as set forth in this budget are to be approved in accordance with the provisions of Article 7, Section 701 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish. Transfer from the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 fund to General Fund, the Road and Bridge Fund, and the Criminal Court Fund, an amount necessary to maintain a balanced fund, but will not exceed the amount authorized in the budget. The Recreation Fund is allocated 10% of the net 1% Sales and Use Tax Number 1 revenues as an additional source of funding. Funding is also provided by an allocation to Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 Sinking Fund and FAN's Family in Need Services. To the extent that the resulting revenues of the Sales and Use Tax District Number 1 fund exceed expenditures and transfers after an adequate fund balance equal to 6 months of expenditures is maintained, then such excess will be transferred 25% to the Mega Infrastructure Fund, Projects Construction Fund, 25% to the Recreation Fund, 25% to the General Fund, and 25% to the Move Ascension Fund. The 1/3 net of the Sales and Use Tax District Number 2 revenues collected for fire protection shall be shared by Ascension Parish Fire Protection Number 1 at 65%, by Ascension Parish Fire District Number 2 at 13%, and by Ascension Parish Fire Protection Number 3 at 22%. Funding to provide for the 2023 encumbrances is hereby approved and appropriated. All unexpended appropriations will lapse at December 31st, 2024. This ordinance have been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion open and plug the hearing by Mr. Mason. A second by Ms. Casso.
Second.
Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Mason, a second by Mr. Lawler. Oh, I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. So, all right, Mr. Mason, he's way down there. A motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Mason, a second by Ms. Casso. Any questions, any objection? Hearing none, so move. 10P, renumbering ordinance to amend Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Political Subdivision, Autonomous Boards, Commissions, and Authorities, Division 2, General Sewage Ordinance. Mr. Dupatti.
Purpose, to amend Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Political Subdivisions, Autonomous Boards, Commissions, and Authorities. Article 11, Consolidated Utilities District Division 2, General Sewage Ordinance, Section 18-115 through 18-120. Whereas Ascension Parish, the local governmental subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution, 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the Consolidated Utility District. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish, adopted May 4, 1993, identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. And whereas the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Article 11, was last amended on November 6, 2014, now therefore be ordained by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority that the Code of Ordinances of Ascension Parish Board of Chapter 18, Political Subdivisions, Autonomous Boards, Commission, and Authorities, Article 11, Consolidated Utilities District, Section 18-115 through 18-120 be amended as more fully described in Exhibit A attached here to it, made a part hereof. Severability in the event that any portion of this ordinance is ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. Effective date, this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote now as follows.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Mason. A second by Ms. Casso. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Mason.
Second.
A second by Ms. Casso.
Motion to move.
Motion to move the ordinance by Ms. Casso.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mason. Any questions, any objections? Hearing none. So moved. 10S, reading of an ordinance granting a franchise to National Water Infrastructure LLC and otherwise providing with respect thereto to grant franchise rights as required by the agreement adopted by the council on February 11th, 2021, and approved by election on April 24th, 2021. Mr. Kenneth.
Whereas the Parish of Ascension is a political subdivision in the state of Louisiana, whereas pursuant to LARS 33:4341, a political subdivision is authorized to sell or lease any revenue-producing property owned by it after approval of the majority of qualified voters of the political subdivision. Whereas an election held on April 24, 2021, a majority of the qualified voters in the parish, excluding the corporate limits of the city of Gonzales and town of Serena, approved the sale of the parish's East Bank wastewater utility system and authorized the granting of a franchise to operate same to National Water Infrastructure LLC. Whereas the parish and the company entered into a sewer conveyance and franchise agreement dated as of February 11, 2021, as amended from time to time, setting forth the terms of the sale of the wastewater system and the grant of the franchise for the operation thereof. Whereas pursuant to the agreement, the parish has agreed to grant certain sewers franchise rights to the company, and whereas the parish has determined that it is necessary to enact this ordinance in order to grant the franchise rights contemplated by the agreement. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Parish Council of the Parish of Ascension, the state of Louisiana, that Section 1, the foregoing whereas clauses are hereby adopted as set forth in the preamble to this ordinance. Section 2, terms capitalized and not otherwise defined in the ordinance shall have the meaning set forth in this agreement. Section 3, the council hereby grants to the company a franchise in accordance with the subject to the terms and conditions as follows. Section 1.1, sewer franchise rights. The parish hereby grants unto the company the non-exclusive right, privilege, and franchise to lay, repair, construct, maintain, relocate, replace, install, evacuate, excavate, and operate sewer mains and pipes, any and all components, materials, and equipment associated with sewer system and other related equipment in, under, along, and through the public property, streets, avenues, alleys, roads, bridges, overpasses, highways, and other parish utility rights of way located on the East Bank and not within the incorporated limits of any village, town, or city for the collection and treatment of wastewater within the parish of Hart in accordance with the terms of this agreement. The sewer franchise rights shall neither be construed as exclusive nor constructed as conveying rights within the boundaries of presently existing incorporated municipalities. However, as to any such company, mains, pipes, and any other facility actually in place when a new area is incorporated, said sewer franchise rights shall remain in full force and effect. Section 1.2, franchise fee. In exchange for the rights granted to the company under Section 1.1 of the agreement, the company agrees to pay the parish a franchise fee equal to 4 1/2% of the gross revenue of the company derived from sewer service fees received all customers of the company pursuant to the company's tariff on file with the LPSC, whose affluent is treated in the parish but exclusive of any revenues derived from fees received from any governmental entity for which Ascension Parish government is responsible. The company shall bill, collect, and remit on a quarterly basis the franchise fee as long as the company is approved to recover said franchise fee in the manner outlined by the orders and rules of the LPSC. The levy of the franchise fee shall commence 60 days after the later of the passage of ordinance or the commencement date. Section 1.3, franchise term. The sewer franchise rights are granted to the company for a term of 20 years commencing from the effective date of this ordinance. Prior to the expiration of the franchise term, the parties shall in good faith negotiate the terms of any subsequent renewal franchise. Section 1.4, location, repair, and replacement costs. All new wastewater collection and treatment infrastructure to be constructed or installed by the company shall be located in a manner to avoid material interference with the use of streets, roads, highways, drainage facilities, canals, waterways, and other public places. Prior to performing any infrastructure installation in parish rights of way, the company will submit engineering plans. When a company constructs any work in, over, under, or along the public property, streets, avenues, alleys, roads, highways, bridges, overpass, or any other public property in the parish, the company shall at no cost to the parish repair, replace, and restore the public property, streets, avenues, alleys, roads, highways, or other public property to the same conditions as they existed prior to such construction, and shall do it in a timely manner. Section 1.5, relocations. In the event that the parish shall elect to alter or change the grade or alignment of any street, alley, or public way or drainage facility, and the work cannot be accomplished because of the location of company's lines, the company shall relocate any of its conflicting utility facilities located within any parish on right-of-way if the facilities were installed by the company. The company shall do so at no cost to the parish. If the facilities were originally constructed by the parish and acquired by the company shall only be responsible for the cost of the relocation if these expenses are deemed necessary and approved for rate recovery by the LPSC, and these expenses are not otherwise recoverable by allocations of state or federal funds, and within 180 days of the council's approval of a resolution requesting a relocation of the time period otherwise expressly agreed upon in writing by the parties. Road expansion projects, in the event that the parish is required to add additional sewer utility infrastructure as condition of any federal or state highway expansion program or project, the company shall be responsible to provide the sewer utility infrastructure expansion at no cost to the parish, provided that these expenses are deemed necessary and approved for rate recovery by the LPSC, and these expenses are not otherwise recoverable by allocations of state or federal funds and within the applicable time period as required by DOTD. Section 1.7, conditions of the franchise. The sewer franchise rights granted unto the company herein are expressly conditioned upon the company's satisfaction with the specific obligations set forth in this section 1.7. In the event the parish believes the company is in breach of any obligation in section 1.7, the parish shall notify the company in manner set forth in section 1.9. The company shall be entitled to cure period set forth in section 1.9. If the company fails to timely cure such breach, the parish shall have the right to terminate the franchise granted to the company herein by an affirmative vote of 2/3 of parish council. A, phase 1, the company shall design, finance, construct, own, and operate the East Bank Regional System, which shall include one or more treatment plants and network of forced and gravity sewers to convey sewage to a central location within each drainage basin as a network of sewage pumping station, gravity mains, and force mains to convey the collected sewage to the treatment plant and all other such facilities necessary or associated therewith required for the purpose of carrying out the activities specified in the agreement. 1, commencement of construction. The company shall commence construction activity for the East Bank Regional System within 90 days of the commencement date. The commencement of construction activities include, but is not limited to, contract engineering and design, property and right-of-way acquisition, permitting, and financing, which are the sole responsibility of the company. Completion of the construction. Unless otherwise extended by a majority vote of the parish council, the company shall complete and commission a treatment plant within 60 months after the commencement date. The completed treatment plant shall have the capacity to have commenced removal of at least 3 million gallons per day from parish waterways. For discharge into the Mississippi River, the company shall indemnify the parish for failure to timely construct the East Bank Regional System within the timeline provided herein as provided for in section 8.281 of the agreement. The parish shall have the right to extend the completion date by a simple majority vote of the parish council. B, post phase 1. In all phases beyond phase 1, the company's capacity and removal rate shall be measured by customer growth. For every 15,000 additional equivalent residential customers added to the system after completion of construction of phase 1, the company shall design and construct an additional 4 million gallons per day treatment plant for discharge in the Mississippi River. Unless otherwise extended by a majority vote of the parish council, the additional regional treatment plant shall be complete and commissioned within 5 years from the date of total 15,000 additional residential customers were added to the system for the completion of the construction of phase 1. Section 1.8, parish employees. It is the expectation of both the company and the parish that employees of the parish currently providing services related to the East Bank Parish System will be afforded employment with the company for a period of 1 year, commencing on the effective date. Alternatively, at the option of the parish may delegate management authority over certain such employees to the company. The company shall reimburse the parish for compensation to any parish employee for which the company has delegated such management authority, provided that such employee is compensated at a level consistent with such employee's compensation prior to the effective date. Section 1.9, notification of breach. In the event of a breach of the company's obligations as described in section 1.7, if such event shall continue for 90 days after the parish shall have given the company notice specifying such failure and demanding that same be cured. If by reason of the nature therefore such failure cannot with due diligence be wholly cured within 90 days period, such cure period may be extended for such period as may be necessary to complete the curing of the same with the agreement of the parish. Section 4, the parish president and his staff are hereby authorized to do any and all things necessary and incidental to carry out the provisions of this ordinance. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote of the parish council of the parish of Ascension, state of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of the parish. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing. Motion to close public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing by Mr. Lawler, second by Ms. Casso. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Lawler, second by Mr. Cannellani.
Motion to move the ordinance. Seems like a long time coming. Not just from that reading, but since we did this 4 years ago.
Motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Lawler, second by Ms. Casso. Any questions, any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Good deal. I was hoping someone was gonna object just after Kenneth read all of that. All right, 10V, reading of an ordinance to accept donation of a parcel of immovable property from the Ascension Parish Recreation Commission to Ascension Parish government for the purpose of reversion of donated property. Mr. Kenneth.
Parcel of property, immovable property from the Ascension Parish Recreation Commission to Ascension Parish government for the purpose of reversion of donated property. Whereas the Ascension Parish Recreation Commission owns a certain parcel of immovable property that the desire to donate to Ascension Parish government for the purpose of reversion of donated property. Whereas Ascension Parish government hereby desire to accept the property pursuant to the act of donation attached hereto as Exhibit A and made a part hereof. Therefore, be it ordained that the Ascension Parish governing authority authorize the acceptance of the donation of a parcel of property situated in the parish of Ascension more fully described in Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote. The vote on was as follows.
Motion over the public hearing by Mr. Mason, a second by Ms. Casso.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Lawler, a second by Mr. Mason. Motion to move to ordinance by Mr. Mason,
Second.
second by Mr. Lawler. Any objection? Hearing none. So moved. And before we adjourn, Ms. Casso would like to take a
Just had a
moment of.
comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me. It's been my honor to serve District 8 and Ascension Parish for the last 12 years. And I've done that under 3 parish presidents, 3 different councils, some of the most amazing gentlemen that I've ever worked with for lots of ways that we won't go into for some of them. But it's been a real pleasure. But the one constant has been our council secretary. Senator McKee has made impossible things happen. And so I did not want to fail tonight to acknowledge her, the work she does, the level of fairness and just it's mind-boggling support. I know each one of you know it. There's not a better lady in Ascension Parish, and she does an amazing job. So I want to thank her publicly. And I want to charge this new council that if they mess with her, I'm coming to get them.
Thank you, Chair.
Honestly, if I may continue just a moment.
Go ahead.
Cinnamon will be their best asset. Her loyalty is always to her council. And so she will be the best thing ever happened to them as they come in. And so I thank her again. I wish them all good luck. I thank all of you for your service. And I want to remind everybody that the number 8 is the hardest in government, and we got it. So we might all end up sued over it, but oh, what the hell. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and happy Thanksgiving and to you and all of your families.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Mason, a second by Ms. Casso. We are adjourned.